each different species kind of has its own interesting story of how it makes a living. I just find it fascinating to kind of try to piece together how these organisms work and the role that each one plays in the ecosystem. So we're generally interested in plankton, and in particular the sizes of plankton. So plankton are all the drifting plants and animals in the ocean that are up in the water and can't really control their swimming for the most part. The fraction of the plankton that we're studying are the zooplankton, so those are all the animals. Our particular focus is on the gelatinous organisms, so these are jelly-like organisms that have large watery bodies, and then also larval fish. And the reason we're focused on these groups is that they're groups that are hard to study. They've historically been understudied because of their rarity, because they're pretty infrequent in the plankton in the case of fish, and in the case of gelatinous zooplankton, they're just really fragile, so they tend to get destroyed when we use traditional sampling techniques. The reason that we're interested in plankton and studying plankton out here is because they form the base of the food web. So everything eats plankton. It ultimately ends up in the fish that's on your dinner plate. And the size of plankton and the abundance of different sizes of plankton is a direct reflection of the environmental conditions. So how warm the water is, the pH of the water, the oxygen levels, all of these things control the abundance of plankton, but also how many small planktons you have relative to larger ones. So our focus is on size and on these understudied taxa, and we're here off the coast of Oregon and Washington. This is a particularly good place to look at plankton and their size because it's kind of a natural laboratory. So we have a nice mosaic of different environmental parameters in terms of things like temperature, salinity, oxygen, nutrient levels. This kind of work where we go out to sea on a large oceanographic research vessel is not something that one person can do alone. It's something that requires a team of people. And that's one of the most fun parts of this work, is that we get to work collaboratively. Being at sea is a really unique experience that not many people get to have. So I feel really lucky to be able to get out here and have this experience. It's a little bit like going on a family road trip in a really big RV. Everything's really situated to support our science. So right down the stairs from where we sleep is the lab, and the ocean where we can access the organisms. And all of the kind of day-to-day life activities like meals are all taken care of, right? So there's folks that cook for us, and you can really focus 100% on achieving the scientific objectives. Out here, we're all just focused on one thing, and you kind of know exactly what you need to be doing most of the time. And it feels really, really good just to kind of cut away everything else and just focus on one thing. What I really appreciate about plankton is that they are these really tiny organisms that most people never get to see, and yet they're hugely abundant. There's just this like amazing world of different forms and shapes in the plankton, and they're really just captivating and beautiful just to see their forms and the way they move through the water.